I like what you said about, well, Trump is the anti-Biden candidate, but you would never be able to argue. I know, I'm seeing the emotes in DGG right now. You'd never be able to argue that conservatives or MAGA people are not excited about Trump, right? You could never, ever argue that. Is there some legitimacy to the idea that this is another anti-Trump election? Do you think conservatives are right at all, that we're not as...
Sure, 100%, but who cares? A vote's a vote.
I mean, if you center your election campaign around like a cult-like figure, it's not surprising if your people are obsessed with the guy that the other side might be voting against the guy. That's what you've decided that the election is about, you know? I think it's just a natural consequence of an absolutely cringeworthy dedication to Trump as an individual.
Well, I think that I don't think the issue was policy with Biden whatsoever. I don't know if he passed a single bill that wasn't broadly popular. The ARP, the IRA, the gun reform bill, the Chips and Science Act. I think his agenda was broadly popular. It's just that people thought he was literally demented. And I think like a big part of that had to do with Rogan and that sort of like pocket of the internet normalizing all that talk. Obviously, the debate didn't help. But I think policy's in our favor. I think we can run on policy as long as he continues with that policy and she learns the lessons that he did. Then yeah, I think we have a winning message there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can tell from the fundraising. I mean, she's kicking his ass in fundraising. You can tell from the crowds. I mean, obviously, Trump has always pulled in great crowds, but we're seeing some pretty competitive stuff from the vice president. You're seeing him winning, or her winning, rather, in head-to-head in terms of national polling and swing state polling. So there is energy. There is enthusiasm. Is it inextricably linked with an enthusiasm of defeating Trump? Yes, but this is, to me, like, the premise... we get asked all the time, so I think it's a fair question, but to me the premise is ridiculous. A vote is a vote. If your vote is motivated because you want to prevent a second Trump administration, that's perfectly rational, perfectly valid, and it's worked before. That was the reason President Biden won in 2020. So I think there's an affirmative agenda that you could defend. Adam and I had an encounter with a couple at a restaurant we were at as we were on our way out, where they said, "Hey, we couldn't help but overhear you. We want to know why you're supporting Kamala." And we had like a 10-minute impromptu conversation.
It was an older black woman and then her husband, right? Okay, now keep telling the story.
Yeah, and so we were on our way out. Adam forgot his wallet, so I had to get it, and we were on our way out, and she said, "Excuse me, couldn't help but overhear the conversation. You guys are talking about politics. Obviously, you're voting for Kamala. What's your reason for that? Do you have like real like affirmative reasons for it?" And so I said, "Listen, she's part of the Biden-Harris administration. The Biden administration has been very competent, and I gave out concrete policies that President Biden has passed, which to Hutch's point are overwhelmingly popular if you look at the polls." And then as the conversation progressed, I'm like, but even if you don't feel any of that, even if the 800,000 manufacturing jobs, the 4.1% unemployment, all this other stuff, the COVID management, like that, you don't feel that doesn't count, well, there are good reasons just to keep Trump out of the White House, and I don't think anybody should back down from that.
I think it's just pure cope that people are not excited about Kamala. If you look at her public approval numbers before she entered the race until now, you can't get there unless you are a formidable candidate. She was a little rough around the edges in 2020. I don't think she was at her best. And she did do a lot of media training, and I think that is obvious. She did phenomenal in that debate. I think a lot of people wanted to see somebody bully him, take him to task. I love the fact that she was aggressive in her eye contact the whole time. Like, that was one of the best debate performances I've seen.
He couldn't look at her.
Any presidential candidate. And so this idea that MAGA, this accusation that they're throwing that she's just, it's all manufactured, I think is silly. I think she's formidable, obviously.
Okay, policy. I checked the latest numbers from Brookings, and 98% of the median voters think that policy is nerd shit. And you guys are nerds. We're old. We care about this stuff. But the average MAGA person doesn't. They care about the fact that the Democrats are transing the dogs and eating the illegals or whatever, right? Do you even see a solution to this? The culture war is sexy. That's what motivates people these days, it seems like. Do you see a solution to get people interested in policy and reality?
That's why we're here to announce Steven's second red pill arc. He's going to go back into that space and wage the culture war. Right, Steven?
I think like the culture war stuff, I think is a little bit overblown. The Republicans ran on trans issues in 2022, and they had one of the worst midterm performances in modern history. People were more concerned about upholding democracy, healthcare. 2018, they ran on Democrats ran on healthcare, is wildly successful. They didn't even focus, like, I wouldn't say that Trump was the primary focus of that. And so, I mean, like, I don't think Bannon is wrong that politics is downstream from culture, or is it the other way around? But I do think that it's a bit overblown. If they want to run on trans issues, hey, go for it. It just hasn't worked out for them yet.
I mean, is that the feeling that you got today talking to Trump voters in line at the Trump rally?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think that they're motivated quite a bit by culture war issues. I mean, again, I grew up in rural Kentucky, and here's the dirty little secret of red states. For the most part, they do worse than blue states. Blue states subsidize red states. Red states tend to be less educated, less healthy, poorer. And so Republican governance, generally speaking, as a proposition, doesn't get conservatives anywhere, and that's just a fact, and something you should constantly throw in people's faces when they challenge you on it. It is motivated by culture, but people turning up to a Trump rally, they're not the median voter. I don't think it is feasible to win over a Trump supporter at a Trump rally. I mean, Adam has made incredible progress in conversations with people, but much love to Adam. An hour after Adam's gone, they're going to go out and vote for Trump anyway. So, I mean, you got to win over the median voter, the independent voter, who's going to be persuaded on stuff that actually hits closer to home, like healthcare and abortion, things like that.
And when it comes to policy, I think a lot of people don't care. This is a point that Stephen makes, is because if you don't have an underlying understanding, or if you don't have an understanding of the underlying civics at play, then you don't understand how this policy gets passed or how it even affects you. So, for example, FEMA is a really good example. There's 2 congressional budgets, one for immigration and one for natural disasters. Trump supporters don't understand what Congress is, so how are you going to expect them to understand how this works? They don't understand what an elector is. How would they understand the fake elector scheme, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah.
You guys have made a case for why trust in institutions are important and how that's one avenue of avoiding an authoritarian leader. Why should we be so sold? How can we rest at ease that the institutions we have now aren't corrupt? So much of the right thinks that the institutions we have are corrupt. Donald Trump ran on the corruption of the deep state and draining the swamp and whatnot. Why should we take the word that our institutions are legitimate and they're squeaky clean?
Because everybody in the United States trusts our institutions, and you can see it based on how both sides act. In a world where Republicans, honest to God, thought that Democrats operated under the same standards that Republicans did, the immunity ruling would cause an instantaneous civil war, because every single Republican who's been saying that Biden and all the rest of the Democrats would arrest all their political opponents and assassinate everybody would go into hiding, or they would start fighting, but they don't. They'll say these things, or they'll make these accusations about Democrats, but they never act in this way. You'll have a guy who's been living on, insulin, or takes aspirin or ibuprofen or whatever, talking about how he doesn't trust the FDA. You'll have a guy talking about how the vaccines were rushed, so they don't trust them, but they'll be doing everything they can to get their hand on monoclonal antibodies. You'll get people saying they don't trust, like, big pharma because they don't trust the manufacturing process, but they'll do everything they can to try to get ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. Like, they do trust the institutions. They just selectively decide what their talking points are, and I think everybody operates essentially that way.
I think it's like one of the biggest thinking errors. It's really, really common. Our brains are very inclined towards seeing negative things occur and blowing that up and remembering it. One of the biggest dopamine hits you ever get in your brain is when you have a negative experience, and it helps you form a memory of that negative experience. And so it's really important to remember, I mean, this is good for government and people and life, which is that, like, a single negative experience, a single moment of corruption or error, there has been problems in the government, there has been corruption, there has been negative things. The problem is that that's not a good way to paint the entirety of the system, because A, you pretty much never see when it's working smoothly because you're not going to notice it, it's not going to stick out. Looks like you want
But
to say
conservatives aren't riding on a single notion of corruption. They think everything is evidence of the corruption that they already believed in. The Trump indictments, right? Everything you just said about they trust institutions, all the examples you listed were things that Trump endorsed. It's all roads lead to Trump, wise man once said.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to point out to kind of illustrate the challenge that we have. So one of my persistent criticisms of the Biden administration is President Biden's appointment of Merrick Garland as Attorney General. So if you recall, Merrick Garland was supposed to be President Obama's Supreme Court replacement for Justice Scalia. And he was, in his day, a phenomenal prosecutor, and he was a widely respected judge. There's a good case to make that he has a judicial temperament now, not a prosecutorial one, where he is very slow, now methodical, but very slow to bring charges. And so this is what my frustration is. I think we needed a Rottweiler in the Attorney General's position, because there's credible reporting that part of the reason Merrick Garland hesitated to prosecute Trump was because he was afraid the DOJ would look weaponized to Republicans who already had doubts about it. But if you look at polls, Republicans are not won over.
But it would, though, right? There's no confusion that it absolutely would.
It wouldn't, because I mean, like, Donald Trump went on Fox, was it the Sunday Futures, whatever, and literally said, why isn't the DOJ needs to start indicting these people? Donald Trump on media that is supposed to be the enemy of the people has said, where's my DOJ? Why aren't they indicting people? Like, he said that. And then you talk about the weaponization of the DOJ going after people. My God, don't ever look into that Ken Starr investigation into the Monica Lewinsky shit. That was 4 years of digging. Don't look into the Hillary Clinton shit. That was years of digging, of mainstream media coverage, of Comey making bizarre... If there would be a collective Republican suicide event, if an FBI head came out and gave such an excoriating review of stuff when there weren't even criminal charges to recommend, let alone actually bring, let alone an indictment, let alone a conviction, right? And then meanwhile, then you've got Biden, who watches as his son is convicted over some of the funniest shit in the universe. But what was it, $250,000 of back taxes? Meanwhile, Roger Stone makes a settlement with the IRS for $2.1 million of back taxes that he was hiding in another company. It's the standards are, you can't live in this world. You can't live in this world. It's insane.
I understand this argument that you're making. They're hypocrites, that they obviously do trust these institutions to some degree because they trust it when Trump is behind it. But is that not evidence of exactly what I said, which is that, doesn't this align exactly with their idea that everybody but Trump is corrupt? So when he's
you shouldn't operate like you care. So if we want a Rottweiler, then we want a Rottweiler, because to a Republican, any dog, even a mini poodle with a D on its head, is going to look like a Rottweiler. So you might as well pick one if that's what you're going to do.
100%, yes.
All right. I want to move on to more serious topics. I know we've started light today. Josiah,
Yes.
what is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done? Real voice. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done?
Besides this,
You don't have to say,
no. So I'm
motherfucker.
trying
No,
to.
I'm just-
I've been very lucky that most of the truly cringe shit has been friends I've been adjacent to. One that was really awkward for me that kind of will wake you up in the middle of the night. I don't know if you guys have those moments where you're deep in REM sleep and all of a sudden some memory will just wake you up in a cold sweat and you're like, cringe. So there was one that comes to mind instantly. I was on a date in 2014. I had been single just for a few months out of a long-term relationship, first date after it. We just got done watching a movie. I was walking her to her car, and I couldn't read the signs. I couldn't pick up on the clues and the cues yet. So she leaned in, but the way she leaned in, she kind of had an arm and a fist up. So I thought she was going for a fist bump. So she leaned in for a kiss, and then I held out my fist, and there was that sort of eternity that lasts, for a few seconds. So then I dropped my fist and leaned in for the kiss, but she brought her fist up. And so, yeah, so that was, Lauren, if you're watching, I remember that moment, and I apologize for the awkwardness. So
I'm sure she's watching. She's a DGGer, I think.
She should. Please like and subscribe if you're watching, Lauren.
Adam Mockler.
Man, that's a really tough question.
I was going to ask you about Ukraine, but go ahead.
Okay, wait.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm not going to be the only one who... I was vulnerable. I'm not going to be the only one...
Do you guys want to do that to Josiah and make him tell the only one that tells an embarrassing story? What do you think?
Yes.
Too bad. Adam Mockler.
This one's pretty personal, but one of my girlfriends in...
Not anymore.
Okay. One of my girlfriends in high school, I hadn't met her parents yet, and I took an edible after school with my friends. Sorry, but we did, and then she invited me to her baseball game that night, and I went a few hours later, and her entire family was there, and I had to meet them. It was so awkward and terrible. They were asking me questions, and I'd respond a few seconds later, and then it didn't last long. I never met them again, honestly.
You laughed a lot, too.
At the end, honestly, I was like, do you guys want to join me in my car and smoke a little bit? I don't know what else to do at this point.
That was a cool story. I don't believe that was awkward at all. It was pretty good.
It was very awkward. I didn't know what else to pull from. I mean, I don't know.
So much Riz.
Hutch.
There's no way to sugarcoat this. I recently shit my pants in my car with my fiance in the car. End of story.
M. Night Shyamalan would not have written that script. You just started with, I'm Bruce Willis and I'm dead. You started with, guys, I shit my pants. And then here's all the background information. All right. Not so erudite.
Oh God, I hate this story. When I was 16, I had a boyfriend that I decided was not going to be my boyfriend anymore. So I was wrestling with the morality of breaking up over text or in person, and I was 16 and dumb, and I was like looking on the internet, and it was like always break up in person. So I was like, okay, got it. The problem is he lives like an hour and a half away, so I made him drive out to me. I know. I'm sorry. He drove out, and I was like,
Wow.
well, I don't want to break up with him in front of my parents. That would be really awkward. So we go for a walk with my dog, and I live in like the country. And we go to like this field, basically the hill. And we're like hanging out, and my dog is off leash, like running around, and we're like chatting, and I'm like, yeah, I just like don't really see it working out or whatever. And he was like, oh, okay, that's super fair. It was a normal breakup, like it wasn't like a big deal. Oh God. Then he turns to go, and my dog starts following him, and we're like pretty far out as well. So he turns to go. My dog starts following him, and so I turn, and the problem is like when I interact with my animals, I don't use like baby voice, I use like normal tone. So I like turn to my dog and I said, you can stay. And then the guy turned around and he was like, oh, I just figured it would be better if I left. And I was like, oh, no, you should go. My dog should stay. Yeah, this was before I like discovered social skills. That came at like 19. So that was mortifying. And then he got lost on his way back to the car because we were like in the middle of fucking nowhere. So then he had to like call me to get directions back to his car. And I just remember like sitting in the forest, like far away, being like, oh my God. Like, when is he gone? So I'm sorry, Joel.
He killed himself in his car after.
Oh my God.
He's actually gay now, so I don't know if that's my fault or...
He's watching right now, you know. Okay. I heard we have another guest who wanted to, I think he sent us something. He unfortunately wasn't able to call in.
Leave it there. Dan's new profile picture.
Well, what's up, Wisconsin? By the way, real nice audio. Very professional. You know, if this happened to me, I feel like it happened recently. When it did, I got 20 Reddit threads and an unhinged dossier on Twitter. And can someone tell me why a show that talks about the inherent value of dog warts is somehow expected to have a more professional setup than whatever this George Soros fever dream is? What even is progressive victory? It feels like Tenet Media, but way less cool. No Russians, no deep throat, no millions of revenue. Like, was this all funded by some like really small leftist group in Sweden or something? I don't even have video on my end. Right now I'm just literally talking to a black void. It's actually starting to feel a little bit like a Anything Else episode. You know, since no one can talk back to me and I can't hear you and this is all perfect, has anyone here, like on the stage, have you guys perhaps thought that maybe you should tell Steve that his glasses are hysterical? Like, why do you guys let him go around looking like this? You're literally going to create more Trump supporters with every single photo that you let this guy be in. It's like he went to Walmart and asked for like a leftist Edward Snowden. Anyways, listen, don't worry. Chatters out there in the audience, he's appreciative of your feedback. And he can't ban you unless he knows your DGG name, so don't tell him, okay? Anyways, serious stuff. Let's not forget, all you guys out there are doing something important, knocking on doors and pissing people off. I can't tell you how much I hate all of you. Every day, I'm getting one of you guys coming to my house, and I'm like becoming the real life Ron Swanson, telling them I know more than you do. Ugh, Jesus. I'll just say, okay, I live in a pretty Jewish neighborhood, okay? It's called Little Israel down here in Miami Beach. I think it is like some of the highest counts of Jews, anywhere in the country, maybe outside of Manhattan or something. And I'll say earlier in the year, there was a lot of Orthodox Jews that were definitely for Trump, and that's because of all the weird maneuvers he did with things like moving the embassy to Jerusalem, and I guess now telling Israel he's gonna, that they should nuke everyone. But I do feel now, being here in the shit, as they say, things are getting a little bit better they're seeing, well, not better for me or for them, but they're seeing the rising anti-Semitism on social media. And they're starting to realize that, hey, wait a second, maybe these guys on the right aren't our friends after all. So it gets easier now because they see like all these insane conservatives on the right basically assuming that all Jews are working together. Like we have a Discord meeting on Friday evenings where we discuss which weather events we're going to schedule with our Hasidic laser beams for the coming season. Man, I'll tell you, we have to schedule these, the amount of checkboxes you have to click on the trillion-watt laser, it's a huge pain in the ass. It is funny, though, that all these people on the far right assuming that we're all working together, and I think I've said this before, I know I've said this before, but I have to tell you, when I'm selling some of Steven's used camera gear because he bought something wrong for the podcast on...
Okay, how much longer is this? I told him 15 to 60 seconds.
Roll down clip 47
It's not like I'm
negotiating with
fuck
Jews.
yeah, I'm giving you the special discount. I know what I'm in for, okay? So I just don't understand why I can't get more like Smiths or Bonnells or something.
That's enough.
Like that.
Pause it.
I think he was trolling us to see if we play it all.
He has his own show. It's done.
It's the worst. Hey, was that racist enough for progressive victory? I hope so.
Okay, cancel it. Okay, close it. We're good. Okay.
See what you did?
That's it. Thanks
I
for
think you just
coming
wanted to
my
see if we
TED
would play it
Talk.
all,
And,
honestly.
honestly, I don't care if you guys found this funny or not. I was told I had to come
Clearly.
in 30 minutes, and I'm literally speaking into nothing. I can't hear you. I can't see you. This is basically like terrorist vibe stand-up comedy. So, anything else, guys?
Can we get applause for Dan for putting more work into that script than he's put into 30 episodes of our podcast so far? Thank you, Dan.
I told him 15 to 60 seconds. Somehow, he's not
Multiplied it a
even
bit.
here. He's not even here. Somehow he found a way to delay my show.
Dan is an overperformer, okay?
I guess so. Where did he find time to write that? I think we asked him like an hour ago.
He's riffing.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's all natural.
All right. Do we have another one? Okay.
He needs 1 minute.
He needs to do his embarrassing story.
Don't jump the gun.
Nice.
My whole
try,
life
Steve.
is on stream. What is there to say?
Give us an old one. Something that you would
An
have said.
old one. There was a time when I was in. Anybody here remember me going to Taiwan? Okay.
I know
I'll
you've been,
admit.
but yeah, this is not like a familiar one.
How the fuck do you know? I don't trust you. No. Okay, I'm just kidding. So I was in Taiwan, and there was a guy that had invited me there. We were doing it was a sponsored event for, I think it was like computer cases or computer chairs or something. And there was this Asian girl who was, I guess, like morale for people. I don't know. They bring in like these people that dance and take pictures or whatever. I don't know what the thing is. She didn't really speak any English, and I'm just kind of here in the corner like doing, I don't know, we were chatting about chairs or whatever, and this girl comes up to me, and I'm like, I figured it was like a fan who wanted a picture. And so she comes up and she poses, and then I go to put my hand on her shoulder or whatever, and immediately her and the I guess her handler or whatever, like comes up and he's like, don't touch her. And it was so insanely fucking awkward. So I end up doing this like half picture with like half hover handed. I have no idea what's going on. Have you ever seen the weird picture of me near an Asian girl in a dress in that, I think it was like a Red Bull Atlantis shirt or whatever. And I'm like hunched over. That's where the
I've not
picture
seen
is.
it, but DGG has its assignment now because I'd like to see that photo.
Is that the OG Tiny? Is that the OG Tiny too?
Well, it's been photoshopped so many times. I don't know what the original is, because I think that's where the one picture I'm like, and my head is like fucking huge. That's where that
They cover your
Photoshop
head.
comes from.
That's a pretty good one. I was gonna do talents. Oh, okay, we got another guest.
Thank God.
Held hostage?
Looks like he has a very important message for us. Let's hear it. This ought to be important. Everybody better pay attention.
Did we have to watch all of this?
How does this feel longer than Dan's? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Drag. I asked everyone on the panel to prepare a talent, but I
I
think
thought it was one thing from that list. You wrote down that whole list? Oh my god.
it was 2 of like 5.
Oh.
I didn't prepare a talent.
You want me to make you do the talent? Is that what you want? You want to watch him dance? You want to see Steve do a dance? Look what you just did to yourself.
Oh, I don't have any talents. I just argue with people.
That's okay. She's your co-host. She told me she has one.
No, I said I'm explicitly not doing that talent.
You guys want to see it?
No.
It sounds like they don't want it anyways.
I don't. No,
It's fucked up.
It's fucked up. He has a talent. He's got a weird
I
thumb.
can touch my thumb to my wrist.
So can I. I was
That's,
gonna go for
that's
that.
either 2 very talented people or 2 people who have no talent whatsoever. Maybe we
That's
can all
right.
do that. All right. Did you guys have any questions or anything else you wanted to contribute to the panel? Anything that you feel like you didn't get to flesh out enough or touch on or something like that?
Thank you guys for being here. Let's win this election so that our institutions can be secure for decades to come. And a lot of you guys seem like you're in your 20s, like my age, so I think this election does have implications decades down the road. If we ever want to have functioning institutions where we can pass climate change bills, pass anything that we care about, this election is kind of it, I feel like. Not to be too doomer, but...
You, the eternal optimist, did say earlier that you had some concerns that I think are worth sharing. I believe fear is a proper motivator in context. Okay, we can take nothing for granted. You guys have kicked so much ass today, but this is still probably going to be a coin flip election based on the current indicators. Now, I'm a pessimist by nature. I've been a bit more optimistic since the vice president became the nominee, but I was stunned earlier today when Adam was like, I've got some concerns, and I think they're worth sharing because no one here in person or watching online should take any of this for granted. Yeah, we beat Trump before, but a lot of people thought that was the end of Trump's political career, and now in so many ways he's stronger than ever. His support among the Republican base is more cultish now than it ever was. And so with that in mind, I think you should share some of your concerns.
I was just saying, well, first of all, maybe the MAGA brain rot has gotten too deep into my brain, and I'm just starting to think that, I don't know, but intuitively, I feel like, first of all, the polling numbers are good for Kamala, but we're like 1 or 2 percentage error away from a Trump victory. Also, Donald Trump has been campaigning on the national stage for 9 or 10 years. He has the name recognition down. We were talking to that couple. They didn't know anything about Kamala Harris, and that's why I pointed out she was like an older black woman. She didn't know anything about Kamala Harris, which I just feel like we have a lot of ground to make up. And then on top of that, if you look at the economy, and I know none of it's Biden's fault, but things have gotten more expensive. When I talk to some people, it really feels like we're really close to a second Trump term. And I see a reality where on election night, we're all kind of floored when Pennsylvania goes red, but it'll be very obvious why. I mean, she's underwater with working class men. And I know that women have kind of evened that out, suburban women, but I wouldn't be surprised if on election night, Trump ekes out Pennsylvania, and boom, it's a second Trump term. I think we all need to be prepared for that, and we need to work so that doesn't happen.
I think we're going to win, and I think it's because of people like you, so thank you guys for coming out there and doing that today. I just want to be the one optimist on the stage. No, I understand what you're saying, but I do want to say that, like, if he does win in November, we just lick our wounds for a week, and we just get right back at it. And we just keep doing this over and over and over and over again. This is a lifelong project, so.
Wait, that was the optimist note?
I think we're going to win. Yes.
I'll pay the capital if we don't.
I think we're going to win.
I guess I want to speak more for like a PV organizing, DGG side maybe. Somebody asked me a really good question today, which is how do you overcome political nihilism? And I obviously don't have the perfect answer, so don't take this with all authority, but I think a lot about political nihilism like I think about like mental health nihilism. A lot of people in their like 19s, 20, 21, they're kind of like, they get kind of like slammed by the world. They like go out and no longer are in public school, and they're suddenly like adults like that, except I guess here you can't drink, so you're adults except for the fun things. So yay America. But I think a lot about how it feels like there's nothing you can do. And I think it's led to like this intense sense of hopelessness and lost. And I guess I shared the story of the person who asked me the question, but I think like one of the most important stories in my life has been the story of the man walking along the beach with his son. and he's tossing starfish into the ocean as the ocean tide is going out. And there's miles and miles and miles of beach, and the son is like, why are you doing this? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you'll never save all the starfish. And he like picks up another starfish and he tosses it in the water and he says, yeah, but it matters to that one. And so I think like a lot of times we get really scared of the size of like the national story. And we look at it and we're like, oh my gosh, these like Republicans think that Democrats are like controlling hurricanes now. Like, what do we even do about this? But there's like doors that you can knock. There's people with mental health issues you can go volunteer at. There's connections you can make. And I really do think like, you know, Jordan Peterson doesn't have a lot of good stuff, but he does have a really good psych take, and he borrows it from the field. But it's this idea that like when you want to make an impact in the world, you like start really small, get that right, and then you go from there. And that's like where meaning is found as well. And I think like you guys coming out gives me hope. It gives me a sense of like meaning. And I appreciate you guys all coming out. And I think kind of take that with you and find ways to infuse that hope and meaning in small ways in other parts of your life.
All right. Okay, Miss America. Jeez. Appreciate you. Go for it.
One of the things I really want to ask you guys when I see you come out here is there's this really sick shotgun mic, okay, by Sennheiser. It's an MK8060. I'm just curious if you guys think it's a good mic to no, I'm just kidding. Okay. One of the things I used to say when I was looking at the 2016 to 2020 Trump term is I used to say that Trump did a really good job at stress testing America's institutions. That at the end of the day, the American project was saved by the framework that the Constitution and countless years of grueling legislature activity, Supreme Court decisions, prior presidents, like all of this stuff had built a system that was able to withstand the actions of Donald Trump. And I gave a lot of credit to our institutions for that. And I don't say that anymore. I think it was a totally wrong take. I think the institutions help. But one thing that I noticed as you dive deeper into the stories is at the end of the day, the only thing between us and authoritarianism or us and oblivion are really individuals. It's a lot of individual good people that are making good decisions that are keeping the country on the right track. I think that when we look at the events of history or the events before us, even if we don't consciously feel this way, intuitively, we have this incorrect notion that history is inevitable, that things that happened would have always happened, and things that will happen are going to happen regardless. And nothing can be further from the truth. Whether it's you guys doing things to take action in local communities, whether it's you guys participating in events like this, whether it's retweeting my epic tweets and spreading the word, fundraising for political projects you feel passionately about, or even being maybe that little bit of extra social pressure in your own life to change the mind of a friend or family member in terms of how they vote. There are all of these little actions that every individual can take to change what is not an inevitable destination for history. The books are open before us, and I think that seeing you guys participate in projects like this, and seeing you guys do everything you can do at the individual level, slowly builds towards hopefully a better America that represents where we came from and has a good idea in mind of where we should be going. So thanks a lot for you guys coming out. I really appreciate all the help and the volunteers and everything else. I'd reiterate everything that was said before. These events are running unbelievably smoothly now as a result of all the help of the volunteers and because you guys are doing such a great job at participating and everything else. So yeah.
And Kyle is right. Listen, I don't think there's a single person who's going to leave this room. Okay, yeah, I'll do it after you clap. I don't think there's a single person in this room right now that's going to leave this event and not remember it for life, and remember it as like something really important and meaningful to them. I think you're right. Yeah, this has certainly added a lot of meaning for me. This was a lot of fun for me, getting to meet all you guys. How do you guys feel? All right. And last thing, before we close out, I just wanted to congratulate all these guys on such an incredible year. Adam Mockler signed with Midas Touch. You have blown up over the year. It's been a good year for you, right?
Appreciate that, man. Yeah.
Josiah, same thing, from nothing, built his YouTube channel. You're huge now. Hutch has recently made a pivot into politics and is getting such a warm reception. How do you feel about that?
Great.
Excellent. Oh yeah, the fist bump. Yeah, there we go.
Just kiss.
Okay. Kyle, you're the co-host of not anything else. Sorry, of Bridges, which is getting huge. How do you feel? That's like, honest to God, it's a podcast I really started listening to. You guys, your guests are so good. You guys are like the anti-Rogan. You guys are bringing in the academicians to counter like the whack jobs that Rogan finds so fascinating. I feel really enriched. Steven, my God, what a year it has been for you. Honest to God, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, you have done, like, you dove into so many difficult topics, and I think you became such a dominant voice. The war in Gaza.
All right, we got it. All right, yeah, let's go. Rolling credits. What are we doing?
Really, I mean, like, law, I think you should be really proud of yourself, and I think we should all give Steven a hand. This has been, like, an incredible year for all of you guys.
You guys are the real heroes, okay? Clap for
And
you.
it's been an incredible year for you guys. You guys should give yourselves a hand.
We love all of you.
Wait, can we get a round of applause for Wicked Supreme for hosting us?
Hell yeah.
I'm getting paid. Don't worry about me, okay? I've been compensated. It's too much as well, okay? Don't let my boss know that. Okay, hey, thanks so much.
We love you guys.
Yeah, one last round of applause. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks, everybody.
We're gonna do an award show because you guys are the real winners. I guess nobody cares about awards.
We take this? It's still on. Hutch, is Dune a good movie?
Can we talk about Dune 2 again?
Do you? Are you guys ready? Do you need a mic? What's up? Am I?
Good to start? Cool. Welcome to the 2024 Milwaukee Campusing Awards. Typically, we do these to honor people, one, the entirety of you, and then two, for stand-up performers or helpers, or goofballs, I guess. We'll see what's on here. We knocked 24,700 doors. We reached 2,400 voters, or 500 voters. We had 290 unique door knockers that came to this event this time. Good job, good job. The very first person to sign up was Ryan is not online. Where is he? Right there? Do we, yeah, sure. Roll the next slide. What do we got? The birthday boys here to celebrate. These are 2 birthdays. Is it like for today, for yesterday, within the last 3 days? How generous are we being here? We have Teller Farsight and Shiharazad. Fuck you, dude. Scheherazadian, okay? Harazadian, Scheherazadian. There you go. That's okay. Where are they at? 2 of them. Okay, we'll find him. Next slide, let's go. We got the winner of the Super Smash Champion, the Super Smash Brothers. The strongest Link, does that mean they actually played Link, or Nomadic Maverick? Get a sign? Oh, I'll do it later, yeah, okay. Next one. Foreign agent, the furthest distance traveled. Ariandinus? Where are they coming from? Do we know? Alaska. Okay, okay. Next slide. What do we got? The Antifa Super Soldier, this is the most doors knocked award, goes to Zeus, God of Thor. What? This is the best prize. These are highly in demand. People are asking when these are coming back. A DGG plushie. Ninu is withholding the production of these for unknown reasons. You'll never see another one of these, so congratulations. If I see that on eBay, I'll kill you. No, I'm just kidding. I'll sign everything after. Yeah. How many doors you knock? I'm not sure. You're not sure? 279 doors for one. I'm not sure. Okay. Next slide. Honorary, the best doggos. The two best doggos are Sally and Lincoln. Do you have shirts? Do you have dog shirts or? Next slide. What do we got? All right, that's it. That's the end. That's what we got for awards. All right, clap. Round of applause for you guys. Applaud yourselves. I spoke up here, motherfucker. Okay, thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to Progressive Victory for hosting the event. I don't like to name names because I know I'm going to miss people, but I mean to all of the people that I saw, working behind the scenes, obviously. Kyla and Supreme are doing a ton of work. Thanks a lot for the streamers that came out. Hutchin, Josiah, Jeff, obviously, working the cameras. I see a ton of familiar faces for some of the PD staff, people that have been working in the houses that are still going on, people that have been volunteering at the last events, all the guys that helped you with the sign-in, all the people that did the training, and you guys for showing up. These events don't work unless you guys actually come out and show up and get trained and knock on doors, and all of us appreciate the effort. And yeah, hopefully we do this, and what Trump said, we don't have to do it ever again, because we're going to fix it up real good so that Republicans never win another election. Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming, guys.